Joined today by Terry of the Anti-Hero podcast. He's also the organizer of the ShellShock Festival, which has been making its rounds in the metal media space lately. Um, and I wanted to thank you for coming on here to hear your side of things because something that a lot of other metal outlets won't do. Um, if you wouldn't mind, could you just give a quick introduction of yourself and what you're all about, and then we'll get into the main thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I host the Anti-Hero podcast. I own an apparel line called Refracted Wolf Apparel. I am a military veteran, and I'm an active cop. Actually, it's no secret. I don't
Yeah.
particularly go. I don't scream it at the rooftops, but you can if you look hard enough, you can find it. So, yeah, and then this is the second year we did Shell Shock. We started the first one. We started in a VFW because I played in the scene back when 2005, 6, 7, the hardcore
Okay.
scene. And then I joined the military, and I really never jammed anymore. And so I always wanted to be part of it. So but I was never, I haven't been in the scene in 20 years. So uh I tried doing Shell Shock last year, and nobody would touch me. No venues would touch me because I was a nobody. Uh,
Mhm.
and so no venues would let me book. No booking agents, no promoters would listen to me, answer my emails. So I had to do everything on my own. So we did it in a VFW, and it was pretty dope, but it definitely needed to upgrade. So that's what led us here this year.
Okay. Nice. And do you feel that a challenge in the beginning was just because you were new to trying to do
Mhm.
that, just initial beginner steps?
Yeah, a lot of lessons learned.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
and everybody wants to get paid, and so if you book a show, right, I didn't do this. You book your headliner first, right? And then you book down as you go because more people are just going to be happy with the payment of opening for the
Yeah.
headliner, which is hopefully a national act, right? But if you just start, hey, will you play the show? People are like, yeah, but like, what's the money? Right? So
Yeah. There's less thought of that, like, oh shit, we're playing with that band. We get to open and be part of that.
yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, so for the Shell Shock Festival has been in the metal news lately, and I particularly got very annoyed with it because I happen to care about journalistic integrity, which I found was severely lacking in these articles I was reading. Um, I'm sure, as you know, that side of it, the metal media, what they were basically saying was that this was a metal festival to raise funds for PTSD. And then you guys suddenly decided to go political and booked Kyle Rittenhouse. And then all the bands like stood up in protest and said, like, no, we're for free speech. So we're going to cancel this festival. And that's pretty much what all the metal people are running with. I would love to hear your side of things and what went down on your end.
Yeah, that particular thing that they're talking about, Kyle Rittenhouse. Unfortunately, we scrubbed our. I wish I would have screenshotted it, but we scrubbed our Instagram, and we're starting over for the next 3 weeks. But with a kind of like a little bit newer brand. But we announced Kyle Rittenhouse booking weeks ago.
Okay.
Unless these bands are that stupid, and their agents are that stupid, and their publicists are that stupid, and it got by everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, for
they
weeks.
wanted to play this show, whether it be money, whether it be an Orlando venue, whatever it be. Evergreen Terrace wanted to play this show. Um, from what I kind of broke it down, but I think that a less than tasteful reel was shared that was made by one of my podcast listeners, and it made its way to um, I believe it made its way to Andrew, the singer for Evergreen Terrace. He is fringe liberal. I
Yeah,
like. I mean, I respect everybody's beliefs. I think being on the far side of any side is like the dumbest thing you can do. But
I agree with that.
he called our event coordinator and was like, "We are not playing the show." She said he was very polite, but he was very stern. This is not happening. So she called me. She's like, "We have major problems." Then their booking agent called me, and he was like, "Dude, holy shit!" And, he's a good dude, but he was like, "I got to see." He essentially he was telling me that the rest of the band was trying to still play this show and they asked me, or he asked me, "I'm gonna go to the band with, I got to go with them or something. Would you consider not having Kyle Rittenhouse there?" What I said was,
Hmm.
I would consider asking him not to go there, but I would have to run that through everybody. And my business partner's big on morals and like his beliefs and sticking to your ground. I'm a little bit more business oriented, where like if it works, it works. If it, I don't want to lose
Hmm.
half a concert if a guy would simply was like, "Oh yeah, I won't go. I don't want to cause problems." If Kyle Rittenhouse was like, "Yeah, dude, if you're gonna raise money, dude, and this I'm gonna be a problem, I'll go." I was I was considering asking him that. Never
Yeah.
once did I ever go to Kyle Rittenhouse and say, "Can you not go?" It was literally within 2 minutes of me saying that, it came back that Evergreen Terrace still was not going to play no matter what.
Damn.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it wasn't how the metal outlets were saying how you were like, oh no, we'll get rid of Kyle. Like, please stay,
No.
please.
No, it
Yeah.
wasn't like that. And we didn't just spring Kyle Rittenhouse on them. Kyle Rittenhouse was never a guest speaker. Kyle Rittenhouse just simply asked what he could do to help, just like everybody else that was a non-musician there. And we had this weird thing, like, dude, just fucking come chill with people. Like Platinum Mike Perry's gonna be there, the UFC fighter, like just weird smorgasbord full of influential people that can them being there can help,
Yeah.
raise money. So yeah. And then yes, they did. They were paid. I mean, I don't know if this is kayfabe or not, but I'm going to say it because they owe me money. It's $2,500 that was paid up front, and then $2,500 day of, for a total of $5,000. There's direct support act that was
Yeah.
guaranteed $500, was paid $250 that day. So I'm out $2,750 that, again, has not been it has not been told to me that I'm not going to get it back by any means. Don't I'm not trying to
Okay.
say that. I'm not trying to play that game, but they
It
did.
has
They
not come
were,
back yet.
yeah, and they were paid. It's like it would be like if the catering service that day was like, "Oh, Kyle Rittenhouse, we're not serving you. We're not doing, like, I paid you for something. Like, you
Yeah.
might not like every, like you said it best. You might not like every single thing there, but you were paid to be there. You were paid to do
Yeah.
something." And they didn't care that their fans were there. They didn't care that the other bands, were needing them as a headliner. They didn't care about us. They didn't care, obviously, about. I could read through lines.
Yeah.
They ain't paying no. They're not paying no veteran organization because they owe me money. I can tell you that right now. Like, if you owe somebody $2,500, unless you just
Yeah.
donate
You're
$5 to say you did, they're probably not going to donate.
yeah, I just say that to like kind of save face because it looks really bad to pull out of a charity event for pretty much any reason. Um So I wanted to get you said that Kyle wasn't going to speak there. So cuz that's what people are the metal world's under the impression that this was a metal festival and then Kyle Rittenhouse is just going to pop up out on stage and everyone's like, "What?"
Yeah, and
So
I'm gonna, in between bands, I'm gonna play the national anthem too. Like, no, it's
yeah.
I'm not gonna kill a vibe. Like, and it's funny because you did mention that a lot of people there would not mind if Kyle Rittenhouse was there, but also I knew a lot of people there probably. Our goal initially was obviously to raise money for through the Cat 2 Foundation, but the second one was to kind of blend both worlds. You see these guys walking around, they stick out like a sore thumb at a concert. They got a grunt style shirt. They got the high and tight. They're there because they love metal. They don't
Yeah.
really particularly blend with anybody because I guarantee you the one with the nose ring and the pink hair does not vote for the same person that guy votes for, but it shouldn't matter. You're at a
Yeah.
concert. None of that should be. So we were like, dude, let's blend both worlds. Let's just have it, and it did not work at all. And maybe it's a lost cause and something that can't be achieved. No.
Which is sad because I agree with you that it really shouldn't matter. I would understand if people who were going there didn't want to talk to Kyle or like listen to him or anything. But I would never equate that to like, oh, we need to protest against it. I'm sure I've been to plenty of festivals that had sponsors that I don't agree with that
Yeah.
didn't change anything, didn't affect anything.
I mean, look at
Uh,
look at what I do, and in order to enjoy any form of art, I have to put up with a lot of things that I don't agree with. Pretty much everybody that I watch in a movie, I listen
yes.
to in music, I do not share the same beliefs with, and it's okay because it's art, and I'm here to listen or to watch what you're doing. Essentially, so I don't know why it can't be reciprocated the other way around.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And
Uh,
the only reason why I bring up anything is because I'm explaining me right now. This concert is not a conservative concert. It is not a right leaning concert. I'm assuming maybe when you talk about things like PTSD, it's a PTSD concert. It's not a military PTSD concert. It's not a war. It's this particular foundation is for that, but it's a PTSD charity and awareness event, like car accidents, sexual assault, anything that
mhm.
you can get. If something happens and your body reacts a certain way because of a sound or a vision, you have some kind of post-traumatic stress disorder from something in your life, right? And so it might not be end all be all for you, or it might be crippling. It just depends. So,
Right.
um, but uh,
So for um so for someone attending, like all this drama aside, it's just someone who wants to go. What was the experience going to be or going to be for them? Because I know it wasn't just bands. I know you guys had other things going on there.
yeah, we have a comedy show, a live podcast. It's kind of like a 2 day event, 2.5 day event. Um, but I mean, on the music side, every band pulled out. Um,
Yeah.
I don't quit, and my team doesn't quit. But it was a stressful 2.5 days. Every single band pulled out. We were canceled. No band's gonna fucking touch this. At least not this year. They're just not going to. So we're like, well, what do we do? So my co-host, my business partner that's helping me with this goes, we're here to throw an event, right? I'm like, yeah. He goes, we're here to have a good time, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, we're here to get people in the doors and get some charity money, right? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, tribute bands, baby. I go, tribute bands. Like I played original bands. I was like, come on, Brent, really? And he goes, you got a better option, dude? You gonna get an original band in here that's gonna bring people in the doors? I was like, no. He goes, so I go, okay. And then my buddy hits me up and goes, if you're looking for bands, there was a range festival where like guns were shot, and then they out in Texas, right? They had a whole day where they shot guns all day, and then at night the ranges went cold for safety, and everybody busted out the alcohol and the bars open, and they had live music. One of them was a Slipknot tribute band called Sick, and I was like, all right, if they're playing this is at
Yeah.
least a shot, right? They might still be like, fuck no, but it's a shot. And
Yeah. If they're playing out on a gun range, then they're probably a little more likely to
yeah,
not be afraid of that. Yeah.
so I hit
Yeah.
them up.
That's. Oh, sorry.
No, that was it. I hit them up and they were like, I warned him. I was like, hey, this is what's going on. And he goes, oh, that's you guys? And I was like, what do you mean? I saw it all in the morning, when I woke up. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, dude. And I explained everything that happened to him. He's like, bet, dude, let's do it. He's like, no one knows who we are
Hey.
anyways. So,
Hey, well, I'll give props to them for being willing to do it because I know what you're saying. I was checking Metal Sucks, who released another article like just a couple minutes ago on you guys,
really?
and yeah, it it was about the Slipknot band that you just booked, but the one I was talking about before that was they claimed that you guys were crying cancel culture, and it was just their quote was a tale as old as time that like organizers made a bad decision and now can't deal with the consequences of their actions. That's what Metal Sucks was saying,
Yeah, I mean,
and
to everybody's opinion, you could call that a bad decision if you want. If someone said you made a bad decision, I will go, I see where you're coming from. I disagree with you because I know my brain made it, but I could see where you were like, oh, you guys really fucked up. It's my job to prove it to you that we did it. So the cancel culture thing is it was textbook definition cancel culture. The mob hit, all of a sudden our story started getting shared by the most hateful, violent people with the worst rhetoric.
the
And
peaceful progressive ones.
yeah, and I mean, this bypassed virtue signaling like a motherfucker. This was like in another realm. And the bands I was talking to, not so much Evergreen Terrace, but when the next band, Southpaw, they're also out of Jacksonville, Florida. They were like, this all happened within 40 minutes. First conversation, nah, we're good, man. We'd rather not play with Kyle Rittenhouse there, but it's whatever. Kind of like the idea that you're having. Like, it's not the most ideal situation, but we're getting to play for our fans in another city. We're getting paid. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Next conversation, bro. You got to get rid of Kyle Rittenhouse. You have to, or we can't play. I was like, all right. Well, I'm already talking to Evergreen Terrace. I mean, my phone's going off. I'm like, all right, let me call you back. Third
Yeah.
conversation with the band Southpaw. We are not in. We have to go. Thank you for your time. It's just not a good look business wise. I will tell you that 98% of the members in these bands are all conservative. They've told me. I'm not guessing. I know. They're
Yeah.
like, it is, but our business model, which I get, all of their clientele and customers are liberals, right?
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to sit here and say conservative, liberal, because I'm explaining why this is so polarizing. And when you're a regular human being and you're like, why does everybody care? Like, I just want to go to a metal show and now the news is blowing up. Kyle Rittenhouse is involved. How? It's because of things. When all the bands are conservative and they see Kyle Rittenhouse on the bill and they don't like back out immediately, that explains why they didn't back out, because Kyle Rittenhouse being there doesn't bug them personally.
Right.
It drives their fans bonkers.
Right.
So,
When a press outlet reports Kyle's there and then people freak out, then all of a sudden the bands have an issue.
like, so I'm gonna be cutting my Ronnie Radke style reels for a while,
It
and I
works for
used
him.
I used Hatebreed in the background of one of them, and I caught one in the moment. He fucked up and he did it publicly. He tagged Hatebreed official. I'm so surprised you allow people to use this for their rhetoric. I was a huge fan. You lost me. That
That's
is
such
bullying.
horseshit.
That
That's
is that.
horseshit.
And I'm like, what the? I mean, Hatebreed, really? Like, you get a local band in there that's worried about losing fans, maybe, but Hatebreed, like,
Yeah.
and that's what they do, though. That one guy put himself out there and kind of did it out in the open in front of everybody, so it was easy to see. But those guys do that behind the scenes together. 40, 50 of them, they're going to sway any band that's
Right.
not of, national,
Yeah. No, that's when the big metal outlets are all reporting the exact same thing, everyone's just going to jump on that. Then suddenly, I happen to notice that um, I think the first post on the Antihero Instagram that actually mentioned ShellShock during all this flooded with comments of people who I'm sure were never fans of yours in the first place or never listened to your stuff at all. And then I looked at all the other posts and they had less interaction and didn't have the same comments. And that's what I wanted to comment on. People are saying that, oh, they're just whining about like a woke cancel mob, whatever that means. But like, I saw what you're talking about. I saw floods of people who would have had no interest in this in the first place coming to leave comments saying like, "Fuck you guys, stand for the scene, like you shouldn't like." So I understand completely what you mean because I saw it happening. Why would Metal Sucks write 3 articles of the same author shit talking really hard and then be like, oh, whatever they mean by the woke cancel mob coming after us.
yeah. Have you ever seen so many people rage for the machine? It blows my mind.
Only
The
since
most,
COVID.
the most non-punk, non-hardcore scene out here today. I mean, man,
That's what I'm saying, dude. Yes, I ranted about this earlier on my podcast. It's like, I don't care if you are left or right, libertarian, conservative, whatever. Like, don't be just such a fucking pussy. Like, if I was playing an event and like I don't know. If I was playing a festival and Greta Thunberg was a speaker, I wouldn't be like, no, I'm not playing. Fuck you. Yeah. Like,
yeah. I mean,
uh,
we're our. This is going to be an American thing. It's not going to be, and God forbid you say it's an American thing. That's already polarizing.
oh
Like,
yeah,
so I don't care if Kamala Harris wanted to come there. I'm not going to tell her no. I don't care. The MC and one of the guests is gay. That conservative Anthony, one of the notated guests on the Instagram, openly gay. There we have people of color performing, like and it's always the people that claim we need to
yeah,
be all inclusive and we need to be tolerant are the first ones to be violently against that when it doesn't work out for what they want.
violently too. Yeah, it's ridiculous. um, yeah, I just wanted to confirm because I feel like it's important for all of the people who jump to conclusions. You're saying that the bands knew Kyle Rittenhouse was going to be there long before all of these sudden cancellations.
Yes. Is it possible that Andrew Carney, the singer of Evergreen Terrace, did not know? It's possible. But someone in that camp knew. And someone
Okay.
in that camp knew to not tell Andrew that Kyle Rittenhouse was going to be there because he knew it was going to be a breakdown. And those guys don't want to deal with, most of the bands were good dudes. It was a business decision. It wasn't personal. As far as I know, there were 2 lead singers out of 8 bands that they were offended by this. The other people were just making calculated business decisions. Some of
Yeah.
my best friends were in the middle tier bands, and it killed them. It killed them. But what? Play for their buddy and be subject to this mob, or just back out quietly. So everybody started putting out there, and it almost seemed like a cool thing to do, like their statement. We're leaving
That's
Shell
what.
Shock. We're leaving Shell Shock.
Yeah, all of them were like, we're standing up for free speech by canceling our gig, which doesn't make any fucking sense to me at all. But yeah, that's all the articles are trying to stat. Like, oh, it's so good to see bands like standing by their principles, and I thought it was laughable.
No, there's nothing. The whole thing, like you said, is hypothetical, or not hypothetical, hypocritical, and just wildly ass backwards, because the free speech thing, like, we're not going to tolerate other people's free speech.
Yeah, it's like we support free speech, so we're canceling an event that we agreed to pay, that we got paid for.
Got paid for, and it's a bigger cause than you. And I mean, I'm not going to talk shit, but Evergreen Terrace has never been more popular.
I noticed.
Most of the people involved in this probably didn't even know who Evergreen Terrace was.
Yeah, they probably made a whole new fans because of it.
Yeah, let them ride their wave. I just hope that, bands don't see this and think that's acceptable behavior to, like, cower like that. No time for explanations, no time to talk to me. It's just, you let down a lot more people than you think. So and more things like this are going to happen. We are turning into a more, I don't want to say polarized country, but the pendulum's starting to swing, and a lot of people, I mean, look, the whole point of kind of like this style thing is like, like, I was okay with mixing what I knew to be non-music style elements into here, because non-music industry style, because I knew that probably wasn't the most ideal person to have here, but it was going to help with the charity. But you got guys like Alex Terrible just fucking telling everybody, I don't give a fuck what you think. And his fucking views skyrocket. He's one of the biggest fucking bands right now.
Oh,
You
yeah,
got
totally.
Ronnie Racky, another one. You got some guys that keep it a little bit more chill, like Jelly Roll. Like they're openly, like, they're not saying the C word, the conservative word, but they're not leaving anything for doubt.
They're certainly not on the, like, alt left, as I like to call it,
Yes.
or will stand against it. And I agree with you. I like to see that. I liked seeing a bunch of people calling out that it wasn't cool to cheer on the Trump assassination attempt and cheer about it on stage. I definitely agree with that. There was such a time where it was expected to be these alt left perspectives that kind of like seeped in, and it was like, oh, metal's always been that way. But like, I know there's been plenty of bands who did shows for military vets, for other charities that weren't, specifically ultra progressive left wing. I feel like not long ago this would have been no issue at all, and it's recently, just because of the polarization of the times, that this makes for a big story.
Yeah, and it's not going to get any easier for everybody. I want to say, like, because I don't want to use better or worse. I don't want to use that word. I want to say, like, this unless everybody starts chilling the fuck out, it's not going to get any easier. So, I mean, look, I filled that bill in 2.5 days with very, very pro America artists because that's already canceled artists. So I haven't announced any of this, but we kind of turned into more of a Coachella because it was very hard to get metal bands to do this right now. But you
Yeah,
know, um, we have a Nashville singer that used to be a cop, that shot somebody who was about to kill a baby. Like, you can't get any wilder of a story than that.
yeah,
And it kind of fucked him up. And so he retired early and moved to Nashville. And now he's a country singer. Um, we have like rappers, like the Marine rapper, out of Cali. He's been canceled, but these guys have all been canceled. And because they've been canceled, they just let their nuts out and
yeah,
started doing their thing. And people respect that. People resonate with that, much like a more higher tier, like Ronnie Radke or Alex Terrible, who just like they are very successful in saying what's on their mind. Um,
right,
so these are the artists, and then obviously the artists that I needed to bring people in the door, and so that would be the Slipknot cover band Sick, or a tribute
right,
band.
yeah. No, I definitely agree with that too. It's people respect authenticity, and the loud psychopaths online. They really don't make up people in reality. You never encounter like these unless go to specifically their protests. But you're, I guarantee you wouldn't have had a whole bunch of like protesters at the show. Whenever an artist does like end up in the headlines for some not PC thing they said. It's always the comment sections are flooded, but the shows are fine.
Yeah,
Everything goes fine. And I'm definitely one of the people I feel like every metal person should be like, I would rather hear someone that I may not fully agree with, but I know is being 100% themselves rather than someone who's bullshitting and will act kind and empathetic and turn into these vicious monsters. Like Alex Terrible is a perfect example. I follow him. I like the stuff he posts. And there's plenty of things where, like I don't think that way or agree with that, but it's so refreshing to hear over
mhm.
the fucking mob of people
and
just parroting each other.
and that dude don't. I mean, I don't care how much he's how long he's been in Florida here, or how good his English is getting. That is someone that grew up on a foreign land and has came here, and our PC culture now, to say I don't agree. Like, for instance, I'm quoting. I'm not
Mhm.
saying this. Like, he doesn't agree with homosexuality, and then he doubled down on it, and he's like, why am I getting persecuted for not agreeing with something? And everybody was attacking him, and
Yeah.
it's just people from other places other than America are like, what the hell's wrong with everybody? Like, it's my opinion. I'm allowed to have one, and America's the only place where if your opinion doesn't line up with the mob, you're subject to a lot of ridicule.
Yeah, it's a lot of this shit doesn't fly in other countries, and like other people who aren't American are confused when they see a lot of this drama come up. Not all of them, but I mean, I do agree that it's far more prevalent here, especially in that example. Someone coming from Russia is not exactly going to be down with
Yeah.
woke PC culture.
Or and even not even just down, like not even like understand it. It's foreign to them. It's literally foreign to them. America's PC culture is not normality in the world. We live in a bubble where wokeness has taken over, and the world's pretty violent. And we went from living in America where, yet no, I don't think we should be subject to third world, things that go on there. America's America for a reason. We built it. People should be able to live in suburbia, live in safe neighborhoods, but it's a nasty world out there. And I feel like this woke agenda is trying to mask, and it's gotten so powerful that it's kind of like folded over itself. And now it's become its own monster, and it's like running
Yeah.
people over.
Yeah, they're kind of like piranhas where you just dip something in and just it's savaged immediately. Um, but speaking of all that, because I definitely agree, I don't like people that are the extremes. Lately, I see the left being far more extreme, but I mean, I don't particularly like legit far right extreme. But for shell shock, if for basically if this drama hadn't exploded and it went on as it was billed to, I just wanted to reiterate that it was not an alt-right event. It was not a conservative event. You're saying that anyone was welcome of any belief, anything.
Yep. We had members in bands that are known communists. We've had members in bands that are known to hang around with the Outlaw Motorcycle Club. A hang around is somebody that's trying to become a probationary member. There's a tier system. He was a known, okay, I'll say it. The bass player for the band Let Me Bleed, Dan, known communist, not a communist sympathizer, a self-proclaimed communist. He hates Trump, wishes the assassinations had worked, publicly posted that he wishes the assassinations had worked, right? I don't care. He's playing in a band. I don't have to talk to him. I don't have to agree with him. I don't have to acknowledge he's there. The singer from Southpaw, he's the guy that he's a hanger-on for the Outlaws Motorcycle Club. He wants to be he's got videos of him at their parties. He also wears a shirt that says ACAB with a gun on it. Support your local outlaws. ACABs are all cops are bastards, right? Again, I don't care. I'm paying him to co-headline or, right underneath.
And you are a cop. And
yeah, I did not know this, but it wouldn't have changed anything. But
yeah,
Evergreen Terrace, someone said, proud of my boys for Evergreen Terrace for standing up and blah, 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 essentially for backing out of the show. Evergreen Terrace shared it. So I clicked that profile of whoever it was. It was a hardcore band, but their profile image was a black fist that said Black Lives Matter. I believe everybody has a right to their opinion about any organization whatsoever. And a lot of people do believe that that's a domestic terrorist organization that the black community at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that's what it is, but that's a heavy argument. So again, wouldn't have mattered. I wouldn't have cared,
Right.
To say that that's me trying to prove to everybody that I would have. It's not an alt-right or a conservative event. It's a literally everybody event. And you can't mix M&Ms and Skittles, apparently.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that. I tried and it didn't work. It folded right before. It's still gonna be one. I just feel like there's a lot of people there that are not gonna go because of what it has kind of turned into as far as what it's been called.
Right. Then now no matter what, there are people who are gonna watch this and be like, "No, it's Klan rally," and
the mob called the venue. Threatened the venue.
Really?
The venue guy called me. I saw him on my phone. I'm like, here it goes, man. This is probably it. Like, this is over. Like,
wow.
Hey, man. And he's like, yo, man, I've been getting phone calls. I'm like, I know. He goes, fuck them. And I was like, what? And he goes, I told them sons of bitches. He's an old dude. If they want to come down and pay my rent, I'll listen to them. But until then, they can go protest legally over there outside. And if they break the law, they can go to jail. And I was like, and he even told me, he's like, lean into it. It would work. He's like, I know business and I know where you're at right now. He's like, you might want to lean into it. I was like,
yeah. I like this guy. He sounds awesome.
Yeah, he was just like, he was a little bit pissed off that they call. Obviously, I don't think anybody with a logical mind likes a woke mob coming after them. Like, it's just, or the idea of one. It's either scary or it's going to piss you off.
Yeah, pretty much that. I've gotten pissed off before. People who aren't expecting it, it gets overwhelmed. That's really how kind of they end up getting canceled, is getting overwhelmed by that pressure of it. Like you were saying, a lot of the bands probably wouldn't have given a shit, but it's that reaction from people pretending to be fans.
And they just didn't want the bad publicity, man. The bad rap, the racist band that stayed on ShellShock.
Racist band.
Someone
in my live stream earlier was saying, like, Kyle Rittenhouse is literally a racist. He went there to shoot protesters that were black he disagrees with. And I was just like,
well, I mean, I really respect you for like publicly stating, like, I was one of those people who and then I just took some time. And again, I don't particularly like the guy or care for the guy at all, but I did see that when they said he's innocent, it made sense, right? You said something along those lines.
Yeah.
You watched it and kind of changed your mind in the sense that, oh, he's not a murderer that went out there to kill people. He was rolling around on the ground and not
yes. When I rewatched the video the other day with him rolling, I was like, he has really good trigger discipline. I think I would have been fucking open fire.
So everybody's mindset comes from their experiences, right? And so because I'm a cop, my beliefs are going to differ from a lot of people. I work a lot with social workers, right? Those people, their mindset is way different. They have more of a liberal mindset, and
Yeah.
I have more, it's just your life experiences are going to dictate that, but it doesn't mean it has to ever dictate what you do.
Yeah, totally. Especially the event was for PTSD awareness. It's for a good cause. And that's what was driving me nuts. People are acting like this was almost acting like it was. I don't want to say scam because I didn't really see anybody say that, but people were acting like you just decide, oh, let's book Kyle Rittenhouse and say like, fuck the charity. We care more about being cringe edge lords, as some people were saying. And yeah, I found it gross that people couldn't put even a simple difference aside for that charitable cause that I think everyone would agree with is a good thing. It
Yeah,
wasn't
and
like a
people act up with emotion a lot, which sucks when you're trying to do a business. So one of my biggest arguments for Evergreen Terrace and a lot of the bands and their booking agent was no one saw this and called me and said, I need to have a business discussion with you, right? We're in business with each other. We're exchanging money for services, right? This is a business. No one came to me and said, I don't think Kyle Rittenhouse is a good idea, right? For us, for this whole thing, right? It's a business. I need to know what the other side of it is thinking. No
yeah.
one. It was just
All of
immediate
a sudden,
fucking,
we're not fucking doing this, and
yep. So
damn.
I don't think that's a good way to conduct yourself. And I've expressed myself to these bands. I don't hold a personal grudge to them. I don't blame them. I blame the mob that bullied them. I talked to a lot of them, and I said I don't believe in the way you handled it. I believe, I don't believe. I think you should stand up for things that, just being bullied out of a concert would make me want to play the concert even more. Like, you're not going to
Yeah,
tell me I can't play a concert, right? But
yeah, 100%. Um, so I know I had more questions. I want to just make sure I covered everything because these articles are driving me nuts. I hate seeing how the really the wokeification of metalheads. Suddenly, people, I complain all the time on my podcast. People listen to like brutal, hardcore, heavy music about like not giving a fuck, standing up and like fuck you. And then it's like, oh, this controversial figure who said a thing I don't like is there, and I'm going to be upset. And we're now like a woke cancel mob, but we think we're metalheads. And, um, I guess just kind of what do you think about all that? What do you think about how kind of the metal media reacted to it and all that?
as far as I know Metal Injection I think was pretty fair. Um I think if I remember correctly, I don't remember
They were
I didn't read Loudwire. I don't know what they said. And obviously Metal Sucks was probably the most biased writing I've ever read in my entire life.
I
I
dude,
didn't
yeah.
even read it. I listened to your boy do it on his YouTube.
Oh yeah, Words of Paradise, yeah.
Yeah.
I immediately sent it because I knew he was the type of person to go off on that immediately. So I sent him the article as soon as I saw it. Um,
But
yeah, it's
here's
a
the thing too. God, if everybody thinks the same way and we let 1% of society dictate how we all operate, that's madness. That's insanity. I'm the guy that says what everybody's thinking in the room because I'd rather just get over with and get it done. I'll be the bad guy, whatever, so we can continue on doing what we're doing. Like
yeah.
if like I've been in rooms where it's so awkward and I just say, well, it's you, you stink.
Yeah.
Everybody, you need to bathe. And I'm so sorry, but and everybody's like, oh my God, thank God, because we can't stand this being in the same room as this person. Right. Like it's just so I mean, if we all think this is retarded, but one person is offended and wants to be crazy and no one says anything and we just do what that person wants,
Yeah.
then all the other crazies get together and the loud minority is now in control and the silent majority just sits there and just does what they want. Like,
Right.
no
And
confrontation whatsoever. How are you going to be in the metal world, let alone the punk world, which hardcore stems from punk, and not go against the grain a little bit. You go with the grain. You actually run with the grain. You run away from
Right.
the grain and try not to get touched by the grain.
Yeah, that's metal hardcore punk was always offensive, like not giving a shit and being confrontational. And I always knew that that meant like things that might offend me that I might not like, but I can't be a fucking bitch about it. I can choose to not put myself into that situation, but like there's bands that I don't particularly enjoy or think are shit or like the lyrics are not for me. I just don't listen to them. Or if there's an event, there's a speaker that I don't like, I just wouldn't go watch them. The whole yeah, like the wokeization of the metal world has something that's really been driving me nuts, I gotta say. And that's why I wanted to have you on and hear your side of everything. Because I mean, really, I would also have on Evergreen Terrace and hear what they say too. But like, I want to hear the actual facts of a situation, not just read a headline and be like, "Oh, how fucking ridiculous! If these promoters just decided to do that." Um, so that's why I really appreciate you coming on here and being able to say all this and tell everyone the actual situation.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. It really does. But at the end of the day, it was one or two people that did all of this, and then they this was nationwide. This wasn't a pocket of people. This wasn't like a scene of a city. This was because you're not, like you said, you're never going to get this many people in one place. They're not going to protest. They're all over the place. And now we have social media to use as a tool to, you know, essentially bully people into
Yeah.
submission.
But the good
Wow.
thing too about it, maybe it's too soon to happen yet, but I do feel like there's also the opposite end of it too. Like the that awesome owner you were talking about was saying, kind of leaning into it, you'll get more of the people who do want to stand up for more metal fans who aren't for the cancelization mob and
And
might.
dude, I'm not saying say the government's cool. That will never be cool in music. I mean, that's like anti-music, like go president of the United States, right? Like
Yeah,
I'm saying you got to rebel against something, and culture is a great thing. When everyone's twisted and morphed, and you're the only one, and you believe in your values, and society's all fucked up, that's the grain you go against because you're
yeah,
punk. You're in a metal band. You're alt, right? You're alt. That's what you're
yeah,
supposed to do. But I mean, no one
yeah,
does it. They're all part of the same mob scene. They're not punk anymore. They're like you're punk. So I'm saying hardcore is coming from punk. You're supposed to be anti boots, anti leather, right? But God, dude, they have the biggest socialist mindset I've ever seen.
yeah, dude.
I've never seen a more like it's crazy. But
Yep,
yeah,
it's I saw a bunch of comments calling you bootlickers, and then they're gonna obey every like new mandate that comes across. Make sure they're up to date on all of their certain things.
yeah, people comment and go beat your wife and shoot a dog or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that. Oh man, I saw some comments. People are fucking crazy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, and I've always said this, man. If you want to be a cop, you gotta have some kind of punk spirit. You got to be okay with a lot of people not liking you, and a lot. I've met all kinds of people from wildly blind supporters to all the way down to I despise your existence on this earth because you have a badge, and everybody in the middle, right? Luckily,
Yeah,
hopefully, we're all somewhere where you're gonna. It's like anything. You're gonna go to the grocery store, and you could have a bad exchange with a grocer that just treats you like shit, and you're like, God, but you don't
yeah,
go. Fuck this grocery store. I'm never coming back again. And now I hate all grocers. Like it was a bad experience. They're humans. Everybody's a human being. So
right.
I try to go out there every day and just try to send people away with positive reactions. Like, you know what? That cop wasn't that bad. Like, I got a bunch of speeding tickets before, but that guy was kind of cool. He was more humane,
Yeah.
than the other robots that I've met.
Because there are those there, and I think that's a good way of looking at it too. I actually went through my own process of that. Not to get too personal, but I actually grew up a really hardcore lefty. There probably was a time where I would have been like, "Yeah, fuck that festival," but then I like the Rittenhouse thing and looked into facts and evidence of situations. And I did used to have, I'll be honest, I used to have a bias against cops. And as my perspective started changing and I found the YouTuber Donut Operator,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I started getting into his videos and I was seeing him show like actual situation cops would be in, showing some situations that weren't how they were portrayed in the media. And that really opened my perspective to be like, oh, I like good cops. And,
Yeah.
that's it's the same with this whole festival too. I feel like too many people are stuck in their ideology of not even giving a chance, a hearing to something they disagree with. And I am, for myself, I'm one of the people who decided like, how about I don't do that and do hear what the other people have to say. And then I was like, oh, they're not all crazy. In fact, maybe you're listening to people who are extremely biased and don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Like all of the comments of people saying that you booked a psychotic murderer to come perform at the show. Me and my friends
I
were joking that you'd have him like shooting in between like drum beats to go
with
perform at
the
their house.
dude, somebody put me in contact with the gun drummer.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, he's got a band. He doesn't his Instagram, he doesn't actually like list what band he's in his bio, but they're like, yeah, he's
Yeah,
in a band. But yeah, so I
that's
mean,
that's cool.
yeah, it's I don't know. You look back at it and it's like, maybe when it was happening, I would have been like, man, maybe I made a bad call. But
Hmm.
now I mean, like, I am religious. I do believe everything happens for a reason. Now looking at what we have, it's like, oh shit, this was what we were supposed to have the whole time. If you got a problem with an all inclusive, open to everyone American music experience, get the fuck out or don't come. But it's going to cause controversy. And I USA Today, like, I
Yeah, I
don't
saw
think
that.
this is USA Today. There's so many fucking things going on in this world. The fucking port union just went on strike. All of our goods are going to go through Christmas are going to skyrocket.
Oh
You
yeah,
got fucking Hezbollah bombing the shit out of Israel. You got a flood that's killed 400 fucking people in North Carolina, and they haven't released any of that information yet. And we're worried about shell shock and everything
yeah.
here. It's like, come on. This is
And the
ridiculous.
explosion is that Kyle Rittenhouse is gonna pop up at this event. Oh my god, we have to all at an event in Florida. Holy shit.
Yeah. You're gonna be there too, man. I took a all night, man. I just sat there at the computer and thought it out. I'm like, you know, I was even kind of disgusted with myself that I said I'll consider but I'd consider anything. I would
Mhm.
consider anything. It's business. If it makes the charity more money to, you know, like I said earlier, it would be stupid if we're gonna lose half the fucking attendance. It would be stupid not to go to Kyle and go, what do you think about this, man? Any logical
Yeah,
person would be like, I don't want the charity to suffer. I just won't come. Right. We'll go hang out another time. And I don't know him. I'm not friends with him, but I'm saying if he wanted to do something for the charity, we could go golf and raise money. We don't, but I was kind of almost like sick that I even considered that. Like you know, this is a clear sign that, I stick to your guns, stick to what you're thinking. And maybe I'll have a fucking wildly left person there. I doubt they would come, but
yeah.
maybe next year I invite the Greta Thunberg or whatever her name is, I'm come on over, but the problem is that those people won't, they just simply
Yeah.
won't. I watched a social experiment where the same old dude put on a Trump shirt and went to one side of the road and he was belittled. Things were thrown at him. People physically hit him. And he
Jesus.
changed out and had to put a Harris shirt on and went to the Trump side. And people weren't necessarily nice to him, but they engaged in conversation with him. And that should
Yeah.
show you how bad our politics are right now. It's like it's unhealthy. It's not. It's destroying our society. It's turning people at a young age to these kids on this Instagram right now, full of fucking hatred. Like nobody should be that pissed about
Yeah.
anything, let alone fucking Kyle Rittenhouse in a state they've never been to, they're never going to, in a concert they're never going to attend. Like, but they're
Yeah,
still mad.
exactly. Yeah, they're raging, they're calling the venue, they're leaving all these comments and everything. Uh, that's one thing I have experienced is that I've no matter what side people land on, I've noticed that people who tend to lean more right are willing to have conversations about things they disagree with, and people who are extremely left are just like, no, fuck you, and
Mhm.
panic without hearing any details or information about it. Like the amount of people who are commenting saying like, "Oh, they're having this racist Nazi come perform at the event," and I'm like, dude, I don't care if you don't like Kyle Rittenhouse, that's fine, but that is factually inaccurate, and you should not be fucking yelling that shit. And that just becomes the main conscious. Everyone then it's not ShellShock has Kyle Rittenhouse and that caused controversy. It's that this alt right festival got a Nazi to show up,
Yep.
and
And I'm
yeah,
gonna
it's
next time I see somebody wearing kill your local pedophiles, I'm gonna walk up and go, Kyle Rittenhouse, right? And when they freak out, I'm gonna go, what happened?
You're
We're
like,
not
what?
entertaining pedophiles anymore.
You're like, bro, yeah. That's a good idea. I like that.
But it wouldn't be rock and roll if all this bullshit wasn't happening. But October 19th is going to probably be a very interesting day. I hope it just stays interesting. I hope nothing, God forbid, nothing negative happens. In today's day and age, you never know. And we're
Yeah.
not going to close it down. If somebody feels that it's an unsafe environment to go to, please, by all means, do not go to it. But America is America, and you're allowed to go do what you're allowed to go do unless the government says you can't go there and do it. And then I advise still fucking go there and do it because the government doesn't tell you what to do.
I completely agree with that. And yeah, I just wanted to. So, as you're saying, the event's still going. You said Kyle Rittenhouse is still going to be there?
They'll be there.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I forget the names of the other speakers there, but I'm just, what's
There's no
the.
speakers. There's nobody speaking. That's I don't know where this fucking. I know you didn't make it up. It's this tale that's been told in these articles.
Yeah.
I get it, man. Maybe they just saw like VIP guests and thought assumed like he's a guest speaker. But like you said, where the fuck am I going to fit Kyle Rittenhouse giving a speech in the middle of all this? Like it'd be the comedy, a podcast, bands, and then a speech from Kyle Rittenhouse. Like I'm not going to try and kill the vibe that bad.
That's weird as fuck. I just went to that Limp Bizkit tour with Corey Feldman. I feel like that's almost the same, like, weird stretch of different things going on.
Dude, you know what? I like to give Easter eggs to people about who I am and what I'm doing. And I don't know who's more genius, Vince McMahon or Fred Durst. And they got everybody fucking fooled. And
Yeah.
so when you look at those dudes, like people finally were like, oh, Feldman just there to wildly promote this show in any way, shape, or form, all negative, but it doesn't matter because
Yeah.
when Biscuit goes on and everyone's happy, they're like, dude, that's probably the best set I've seen in 10 years from any band. Is that this
It was
last
fucking
one? Biscuit,
awesome.
where multiple people have said it's the fucking coolest show. They're on it. It's nostalgic, and
Yeah.
and all Corey Feldman does is just bring awareness to it. No one's
Yeah,
particularly
that's
probably going to see it. Like it's so bad I want to go see it, but the news media coverage, like the fucking all the YouTubers that are breaking his like solo
yeah.
down and like this guy is what he's doing, But it's all publicity, and there's no such thing as bad publicity. And if you want to argue with me, not you, but anybody, go look at Marilyn Manson. The shit he did in the Columbine times, and he just kept it going, and he just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. Then the motherfucker actually has sexual abuse charges and is in real controversy this time.
Yeah.
And now he's touring with Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah, now he's back.
And those guys probably have way wilder different values, and they could set them aside and go tour together.
Right, yeah. You picture the Antichrist like superstar and then Five Finger Death Punch. It is kind of a difference there, and that does show like people putting it aside and coming together. There was always tours like that earlier on of it didn't matter what people believed. It was a bunch of bands playing. And sometimes the bands would talk shit about each other at the same show.
I love it, bro. I love it. Like fucking what like they burning down cities. What was it like? Guns N' Roses refused to play in the 90s and Metallica had to play, and then they rioted or some shit like that. You got, yeah, you're very right. Dude, rock and roll shouldn't be controlled in any way, shape, or form. You should have like, if you're not worried about your fucking band even showing up and not playing, that's not rock and roll. Like,
Yeah.
Today's like, there's so many rules and like, it shouldn't maybe that's what I'll go for. It's a little bit more loosey goosey. Like, it's supposed to be fun. It's rock and roll.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Safe and not hateful, but fun.
Yeah, like when I see Gigi Allen, I'm like, that may be a little
Yeah,
bit too far.
he went full punk. You never go full
he
punk. You gotta
he
bring
went
some humane
full.
element to it.
Yeah, he went like animal savage fuck. um, but yeah, I don't want to hold you up too long. I don't know if you have anything that you need to get to. I'm sure it's been just a whirlwind of drama and shit going on with the whole
All day,
controversy.
man. All day. Now, it's expensive. It's a recovery process, and now you don't have the money you originally had, so now you're pulling out of pocket to fund this thing, and then hopefully you market it well enough, and hopefully you bring in enough money, and then you know we hope make enough money to give to the charity. So if anybody wants to, there's a GoFundMe. It's pretty easy to find on the ShellShock social medias, but we have a GoFundMe where if you can't make it to ShellShock, you want to donate, that money goes straight to the charity. Um, so a lot of people were like, "Why don't you just donate to the charity?" Well, the GoFundMe allows us to track, allows us to see who put in what. We think we're going to do some giveaways and random draws based off the charity. It does not allow you to do any of that. So we did have to let GoFundMe take a little bit of a chunk, but it's so we could control and know who and what was put in there.
Yeah,
Yeah, to go straight to the charity. We don't touch it.
that's awesome. And yeah, the event's still happening October 19th. I do encourage people, if you're interested, for people to go to it and don't let fear of online cancel cretins, as I like to call them, scare you away from going. I think it's a good cause for PTSD for veterans, something I care about. It's and like you said, it's not just military veterans,
Yeah.
right? It's
It just happens to be, I'm the promoter essentially, right? It just happens to be my vehicle into that realm. But
mhm.
everybody has got something. Like I said, it might not be debilitating, so they might not need services which we would be providing with these funds. But some people have experienced things so traumatic in their life that they have to go to therapy. Um they have to hopefully not, but sometimes people have to take medicine to get over the trauma that they went through, and the wildest thing will set that off, and they'll freeze in public, and they'll like kind of lose their bearing for a minute, and that's all. It's all PTSD. And so it just happens to be what I went through, but a car accident victim is going to have a whole different tale to tell.
Totally, yeah. Um, Damn, yeah, I think it's a good cause. I wouldn't have argued that it's for free speech, so I'm going to take away the money that was going to this event. But yeah, just any final things you'd like to say? Anything you want to make sure people hear or know? I've tried to cover pretty much everything that all these like articles and people are trying to spin. But yeah, if you have any last words, I'd totally leave it up to you.
No, I just appreciate you and other people like you that you don't go for clickbait, you go for truth. And if you went for clickbait, you'd have probably 10 times more followers, and it's just easy to shit on something and give a wildly radical opinion about something that goes with the mob. There's very few people like you that take the time to look into something and go, this pisses me off because this is bad reporting. It's not that you're defending Kyle Rittenhouse. It's the fact that
Yeah,
this was reported the wrong way.
yeah,
And
that is
now
literally my argument.
everything is affected from the start from lies. From the start, from the first band backing out, they started with lies, and then it grew into these outlets, and they lied. And then, that's how a culture gets affected. That's how a music scene gets affected. Is something this as big as this has become, it shouldn't have never happened in the first place.
Yeah, that is exactly what you said was my thought on it. Is like, I do not care how people feel about Kyle Rittenhouse. I am completely unbiased to him personally. But what I care about is how this was reported and how it was spun to become such a bigger thing than it really should have been and fucks over a good cause. Yeah, I appreciate you coming on here and telling your side of it. I really hope that you guys can pull through and hopefully the event can build up and be better. Hopefully, it becomes represented by people who really want to stand by and agree with it and won't back away from a cowardly mob, you could say. I hope the band gives money back too.
Yeah, and if anybody feels like it, go to ShellShock Instagram and just leave a positive comment. It's really negative in the comment section right now. Both right and left people is going at each other's throats, and it's sad. I mean, it really
Yeah,
is sad. And calling each other commies, and and you have to have one. You can't have all the other ones. So when you have one side bullying the shit out of an entire page, it's going to draw the other side that comes in, and they're essentially fist fighting in there. And it's nice to see one in a blue moon. You'll see one comment like with clap hands, like, glad you guys are doing this for charity, right? Like, go leave a positive comment. And it sounds corny, but maybe more positivity will start to silence all this negativity, because they got to get tired at some point. They can't do this forever.
Oh yeah, the mob moves on pretty quickly. You get like a week or so, they completely forget about it. But yeah, man, I encourage people, if they're interested, to check out the festival, check out the GoFundMe, be for real, legit journalism and not this spin bullshit. Yeah, check out the ShellShock Festival, and I guess I'll just end it with that.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
For more from me, check out my band Dark Insanity. You can find us on Instagram, on Spotify, on all of the streaming platforms, on Bandcamp as well. We have our EP, Rabid Psychosis, out now. We've got merch available for the channel and for the band. Now you can get wyattsmetal t-shirts, Savior of Metal hats, Dark Insanity t-shirts, Dark Insanity weed bags. We've got everything. Links for all of my stuff can be found in the description of this video. Anyway, that's it for now, and I'll see you in the next video.